it's been 1 hour.
You're stupidly long arms.
I got longer arms.
So,
Fuck's sake. Where we just got in from?
so not all things end in a happy story. We've just come home. England have not won the Euros. These things happen sometimes.
But this is part 2. Dad, this is part 2.
Phil, get involved.
This is part 2.
Phil's so upset he's gone home.
Well, as you said to my fans out there, known as Bradders, my name is Alex Bradbury. I am a Brit living in New York of 6 years or so now. I like to travel the world following England football team with my good friend and your film producer, Mr. Rob Oliver.
Hello, I'm Rob. I'm the producer / director of this short documentary about me and my friends' time following the English national team at Euro 2020 from the group stage all the way to the final. So yeah, hopefully this will be quite entertaining or insightful, or maybe you just want to relive those glorious weeks in June, July 2021 with us. Cool. All right, well, enjoy. So this trip was actually inspired by our trip to the World Cup a couple of years ago.
I mean, we were all over the shop, weren't we? We were on holiday in Mexico, we were watching in Nashville, we were watching in New York, we went to Russia, we stopped off in Poland. I think plenty of stamps collected in the passport over the World Cup of 2018.
Bradders, his boss, didn't even know who was in Russia and only found out by seeing him on the front pages of the Daily Mail sports section.
So I had to get that stick from the boss on Monday morning, but what a trip. We'll do it all over again. And look forward to doing it again in the Euros. I don't know how we're going to top what happened on that trip, but we'll have to think of something. Euro 2020, so this would be the first European tournament to be hosted in multiple cities across Europe. It sounded to us like a bit of a piss up, didn't it? Just a bit of a Euro trip.
Unlike the World Cup, actually, for Euro 2020, we'd actually planned way in advance. We were going to follow England all across Europe in what would have been a month-long serenade of European cities.
Tickets for 2020, well, in the draw we were lucky enough for the first time ever to get tickets straight in the UEFA draw. We had group matches at for Scotland and Czech Republic that were at Wembley. We were going to fly to Copenhagen and get tickets on the ground and then follow England through to St. Petersburg, where again we would just scalp tickets last minute.
For the quarterfinals before flying back to London for the semi-final and final at Wembley. Fingers crossed that England got that far.
Sadly, it didn't pan out that way, and COVID reared its ugly head and ruined what could have been, a top 5 trip of a lifetime, a top trip of a lifetime.
But the tournament was kind of stripped back and it was pushed back to 2021, and we'd been told by UEFA that we still had our tickets and that wouldn't be an issue.
Eventually, UEFA decided to pull back all of the fans' tickets and then sell them to corporate sponsorships. So a bit of a kick in the teeth after winning tickets in the ballot, for them to hold on to them for a couple of years and then to take them back last minute.
So yeah, it was heartbreaking. It was absolutely gut wrenching.
Yeah, big fuck you to UEFA for that one. Freedom Day, the day where everything opened up again. The day where we were hoping there'd be full capacity in all of the grounds, no restrictions in the pubs. When we booked the trip, it was this grand idea of we'll get back to England and then life will open up again and there will be no restrictions in place. Unfortunately, that was delayed until after the tournament, which was not ideal. But it still wasn't going to stop the excitement of the Euros for me.
And I was actually On the way to the airport to JFK, when I got the notification to say that had been confirmed, that the UK wouldn't be reopening as planned, so that kind of put another nail in the coffin. And I was actually contemplating getting the Uber driver to turn around and take me home and just kind of ban the trip off and sack it off. But and I saw this Boca Juniors-themed steakhouse, and I kind of thought, you know, if some bloke has followed through with his dream to own a Boca Juniors-themed steak restaurant in the middle of Queens, then I can probably follow through with this dream of seeing a European Championship, even if the odds were kind of stacked against us at this point. But yeah, as soon as I landed, I was ecstatic. Sort of small things you realise you miss that trigger a sense of homecoming. Even the sort of terminal waiting for your bag is always quite exciting. Seeing the blue motorway signage on the way home, that's kind of like my personal nudge that I'm home, back home in England. And also seeing the signs for Wembley always get me excited because that's where I live, but especially given the context. But it's really your mum's cooking that you really miss, and I had that to look forward to for the next 10 days while I was in self-isolation. I got to just sit in the garden and do some work, make a dent in the old book collection, make it through some daytime TV.
Jobs in their professions, in their companies, are usually those who are nearer to the boss, those who are seeing him each day, making eye contact, throwing ideas out.
And that happens, right. Mike, the reason I know so many people are actually getting emails from their bosses saying, "What do you want to do?" They're not giving them
their choice.
Complete.
Shouldn't
No,
be their
because
choice.
bosses are modern and the best.
I even had some visitors, got to meet my little niece for the first time, so that was cool. My nan and my aunties popped round for some tea and cake. Socially distanced, mind, of course. I had to do that from a distance. But if I'm to be totally honest, the whole time I was really just keeping an eye on the Euro 2020 ticket portal website and praying that I might be able to win my tickets back for the England-Scotland game, which was happening in just a few days' time. But yeah, no luck. Yeah, the Croatia game, watched it at my mum's on the sofa. Spoilt, rotten, with great food and multiple cups of tea, which was nice.
Croatia game, yeah, so watched the Croatia game with my dad.
Sterling start. England 1, Croatia 0. Finally, at their 10th attempt, England win their opening fixture.
Croatia was always a bit of a grudge match for me after we watched Croatia beat us in Russia. So you know, watching England come back and win that one was huge. So yeah, the Croatia match was great. England are off to a flying start in the tournament. We're looking good. We're looking fit and strong. High hopes moving past this point.
I was allowed to leave the house on day 2 to post my lateral flow test down to the post office.
That was an interesting one, wasn't it? Talk about the Tories awarding their mates contracts. What was there? There was a pre-flight COVID test, a day 2 COVID test, a day 5 COVID test, and a day 8 COVID test. All at great expense. I think the 3 bloody tests cost more than the plane ticket home.
And they were all negative, so I was allowed out early on day 7, which was fantastic. But once you were allowed to be released, what were some of the first things you did?
Made a beeline for the pub straight away. First thing on the agenda, get to the pub.
Jumped on the straight train back down to London to where I grew up. So had to go in and visit some of the old local landmarks, the local wonders of Kingsbury and Wembley, including the former site of the Avon video rental, which has laid dormant and untouched for 20 years. If you look through, you can still see some of the old relics of its days as a video rental store, including a poster from the 2000 film Romeo Must Die. Saw my cousins, saw some mates, walked down the canal, had some nice pub lunches, up to Kenwood House. It's quite funny, you often forget, or maybe don't even realise it when you're young, but London is so beautiful and so green, especially in the summer, So yeah, it was really good to be back, and just really good to be out of self-isolation as well.
Is it A41, B52 or C23? Find out which after the break.
Scotland, I think, was next.
The gods had decided to look very kindly on me, and I managed to secure a ticket on the day for the game. So I got down to Wembley. Having grown up less than 10 minutes away, Wembley Stadium has always had a very special place for me. I used to listen to the crowd on cup final days from my garden, playing football with my mate. I used to go to bed and often hear some of the live concerts playing. I saw my first ever gig there, which was Oasis. I remember going to the Night Park exhibition, multiple fun runs, lots of stadium tours for people's birthdays. Also, my dad is the last person to score a penalty at the old Wembley. He's also been having words with the Guinness Book of Records, who have contested this claim. So if anyone out there knows anybody at the Guinness Book of Records, please let me know and we can try to fight his corner. It'd be much appreciated. And when the new stadium opened, I took my brother Joe for an abseiling trip across the pitch. He doesn't remember it, but we definitely did. So despite my crap and forgettable birthday presents from my brother, he has actually secured me a ticket for the game today, England v Scotland. What a legend.
You know, Joe, next time 2 tickets, but you know, that was good.
The weather today was awful. It was pissing down. Wasn't going to put a dampener though. I got down to Wembley and I was pretty ecstatic. The reason for getting down to Wembley about 4 hours before kickoff was that we actually had a 4-course meal to look forward to. This was definitely the hottest ticket in town on the when was it? 18th of June 2021. We had a great menu: a king prawn and summer tomato salad for starters. Then we had a slow roasted British lamb shank with all the trimmings, white chocolate mousse berries. Then at half time we had a selection of cured meats and cheese. And then after the match we had a traditional shepherd's pie. So that was great to look forward to. And of course the Scottish were in full force down there. I have to say they were on great form. They were singing and giving it the big un, of course.
Give it the big one.
And you can't blame them. You know, this was the first major tournament they've been in for 23 years, since France 1998, when Bare Naked Ladies were riding high in the charts, and Aqua, Corner Shop. In fact, the last time they were at a major tournament, they had to wear their yellow away kit versus Norway because there was still such a global audience watching on black and white TVs who wouldn't have been able to distinguish between the Scottish blue and the Norway red. So to combat that, they had to wear a yellow kit specifically just for that reason.
A bit of a dull match. I think it was a 0-0 draw.
The match didn't quite live up to a repeat of the Euro 96 Classic, but it was a great day, it was great fun.
If I was going to miss one, you know, fair enough, it was that one.
In fact, I managed to get one of the little footballs for Bradders as a small consolation because he obviously didn't get to make the game.
Any memories of the Czech Republic game?
No, not really. What am I meant to? What was anything?
That was another game that we had tickets for. I don't actually remember it really. I watched it on TV at home.
I don't remember the score. What was it? You were saying about that one? No.
And Italy, England faced Germany at Wembley in the last 16. They would meet either Sweden.
I just remember watching it, and it meant that in the round of 16 we'd be playing Germany.
Is that enough for that one? England-Germany, huge match, huge match. You know, this is our first real test in the Euros.
God, the day of the Germany game, it was like planes, trains and automobiles. It took me like 2 hours to get from northwest London over to East London, to a pub in London Fields called Pub on the Green. And I'd actually had the foresight to book this months in advance, and got down there just before kickoff, and the pub was absolutely pumping. It was great. It was how it should be, in the pub, packed, beers are flowing, you're with all your mates, a load of my mates from uni and school and all that. And it was fantastic. And it was just good to be in a proper boozer again.
Pub. So we're still in the midst of COVID, right? So everyone has to be seated. You know, they've got a good setup there. There's, you know, pub tables all over the place, and they've angled the TVs in the right place, and they know what they're doing. But every time you get up and have a little sing-song, you're quietly asked to sit down again. All table service, not allowed to order at the bar. Very, very unfamiliar feelings for a pub. That being said, when we scored the second goal, no one was stopping us singing and dancing and spreading our COVID germs between all the tables. You know, that was a true tribal spirit, a band of brothers.
Oh, London was absolutely off the charts after the Germany game.
Kane and Sterling are looking strong as anything, and wow, did we do them that night. You know, this is the first real glimmer that England could actually win this thing.
And you're looking at the teams left, and you're like, this is definitely doable. But of course, we had to beat Ukraine in the quarterfinal first.
I mean, unfortunately, it's just really clear, isn't it? No one can go from here to Italy to see that match.
Well, you can go from here to Italy. Indeed, there's a flight from Gatwick at 2:45. But before you do that, you would have to have a national flow test.
Right. So we're heading into the quarterfinals. We've got Ukraine next. We've beaten the biggest opposition in the tournament. Not only beaten them, we've looked like a winning side. Everyone's got their Southgate waistcoat out. You know, there's a real sense of national spirit again. You know, COVID looks like it's sort of behind us at this point. The weather's nice. Everyone's in London. The sun's out.
Another upside of the Germany win was that my planned homecoming barbecue would coincide perfectly with the quarterfinal against Ukraine.
Ukraine game, that was a barbecue at the Oliver residence, and boy did they go all out, you know.
Yeah, the sun decided to finally come out. I had all my friends and family over for it.
It was interesting actually. It was like you get a wedding. You know, how do you know Rob? Oh, I'm a childhood friend. I'm a uni friend. Oh, I'm a New York friend. Bunch of great lads though. You know, not a single guy there who's not a great laugh. So Ukraine, Phil's got his hot tub cleaned. He's got his lawn manicured. He's got the barbecue fired up. He's got his bunting hung up. Big old England flag on the front of the house. It's going to be a great day out. Rob's got his pinny on, and the Pims is flowing. What a great place to watch Ukraine, all in the backdrop of Wembley.
Of course, the game was a thumping, 4-0.
Match itself was great. I don't remember that one either.
I don't really remember much about it. I just do remember pouring Pims all afternoon and turning slabs of meat on the barbecue, including some lamb chops that my childhood mate Charles made. But I do definitely remember the rendition of Nessun Dorma that my good friend Andy Kills, whose music you should definitely check out, played for us afterwards. And we sort of partied late into the night and early morning, and we're in the semi-final. Perfect. Where you might head at?
Yeah, so England are in the semi-finals. You know, we've done it. We're there. I'm due to go home, annoyingly. But, you know, fair's fair. The wife's let me have 3 weeks in England. You know, she's not able to come because she's just started a new job. So 3 weeks, more than enough. I've had a good time. I've seen my family, had all my favorite foods. I've absorbed some atmosphere.
So I'd actually kept this to myself, but I'd quietly bought tickets for the semi-final before the Germany game, before the round of 16. They weren't necessarily cheap, but they were relatively easy to get hold of because nobody thought that England were going to get to the semi-final, let alone beat Germany. But now my gamble had paid off. So the next day I rang Bradders and I said, I know you're flying back to New York, but I think you should stay for the semis because I've got a ticket with your name on it.
And let the grovelling commence. You know, as soon as I begged my way with Virgin to change my flight, next came the wife, and this was a difficult one.
We're back here at Wembley Park for the semi-final against Denmark. England's first semi-final European Championship since 1996. Heartbreaking night back then. Hopefully it won't be the same. Good luck everyone back home. So yeah, my second trip to Wembley was in the books, and it was great. It was so good. Got down to Wembley. The sun was out again. It was like a true cup final. Use my local knowledge, or that of my dad's local knowledge, I should say. I managed to sneak me and Bradders into a little Irish pub next to the stadium.
We're in the parish, wow. We've been out with the one, the only Phil Oliver. What a fucking legend. How do we describe the parish? A shed upon a building site that somehow managed to serve beer. Wonderful.
Great boozer.
We went to a lovely little grot bar on the way down. A lovely little Irish place. Looked like capacity of about 10 people. They didn't tell you is they built a shed in the back garden with sort of a makeshift shed with a couple of bartenders in there and about 300 fat English fans in the car park, far exceeding any sort of COVID restrictions in place. Singing and chanting. I have no idea how the police didn't shut it down, but that was that was something special. The march down to the stadium is really something else. You know, they've got this sort of walkway that must span about 500 meters from Wembley Park Station into the actual ground, and it is just littered with people having a good time. You know, there's footballs flying around through the air. There's people having, you know, parties. There's barbecues cooking up. Real party atmosphere. You know, it was amazing. We made so many new mates on the way. You know, walking down with a crate in one hand, drinking a beer, giving a beer out, booting a football. You know, this was football at its finest. Football match day.
What's your thoughts?
Well, we want to stay here and we want to drink all the beer. We don't want to go home.
But like, he does do this, like, but not in the same way. Like, he's just like someone who's like.
The excitement was building more and more after each sort of stage. So from the pub, down onto the street, down through Wembley Way, through security, through the gates, through ticket inspection, up the escalator. I didn't even know Wembley had escalators until now. Then go out to the stands, find our seats. This was Bradders' first time at Wembley, so it was great for him. We made some friends. We also met possibly the most Danish-looking non-Dane you'll ever meet. The essential workers were doing a great job of keeping everyone hydrated, so hats off to everyone involved. Stadium staff as well. Then on to the game.
The hallowed ground. It was It was special. I mean, it's an exceptional stadium. Wembley is just something else. We had amazing seats. Not that there are any bad seats in Wembley, but yeah, it was something I'll remember forever, even if I didn't remember the rest of the match.
Any memories of the game at all?
You know, we did go for a wonderful kebab afterwards.
Going down 1-0 early on from a free kick was a bit nerve-wracking because England had yet to actually go down, a goal down in this tournament. So we were a bit worried whether or not the lads would sort of crumble under this new pressure. We thought it was going to be 2018 all over again, especially when Schmeichel started pulling out a couple of blinders. It looked like it was going to be his day. Arguably, Schmeichel was man of the match of that game. But thank God we got the equaliser and spirits were lifting. It was sort of party time from then on. Yeah, and then extra time loomed. Kane got the rebound off his own penalty, and job was good in. We're in a final. Then back outside, and there were fireworks, there were sing-songs.
Well, you know, the streets of Wembley littered with fans. You know, hanging from buses, jumping on cars, swinging from lampposts. Real party atmosphere.
And like all great nights, it ended up in a kebab house.
One memory I do have was, you know, phoning around all the pubs. You know, this is pre-getting tickets to the final. Phoning around all the pubs, trying to find anywhere in London that will take us, because we're still in the midst of COVID, right? You can't just rock up to a pub, you got to have a table. And not having, or not a single pub having any vacancy for us. I just thought, you know, this is a real shame. All my mates back in New York are going to be down the English pub with no COVID restrictions in place. You know, hand in hand, arm in arm with each other, singing and dancing, having a great time. And here I am, stuck in my hotel room in London, watching a match that's happening down the road, and I just thought, nah, it's not going to happen. The only reasonable thing to do here is to get tickets to the final. Rob, of course, is of the same opinion, so here we go.
Yeah, I'd managed to find some bloke online who could have been, might have been, probably was some dodgy diplomat from some overseas football association who claimed to have tickets. So I asked if he had 4, as me and Brad thought it'd be a good idea to take the dads, because obviously we didn't get to take them to the Scotland game earlier for Father's Day. And he said he had 4 tickets, and I snapped them up. And then it was the next day. It was actually it was the day before the final, and I was out with my mum for a nice country walk, and we were just passing the sort of stately home manor house where Stanley Kubrick lived. And I was sort of walking, and got a notification from the UEFA ticketing app saying that 4 tickets had now been delivered into my account. But yeah, there they were, and we were going to Wembley. So,
we've won the semi-final. We're now into the final. Here comes another phone call for the wife, asking for more time. She understands again. She knew if we had got through the semi-final, that I was always going to stay for the final. This time it did cost me a trip to the Caribbean for just the 2 of us, but you know, compared to the price of the ticket, that was nothing. So happy to do it.
Right, so the 11th of July 2021 rolls around. So I travelled back down to London from St Albans around midday. The taxi driver picks me up at Hendon Central to take me to my dad's. And he said that he's already been around Wembley, and Wembley is just going off. There's been people that have been drinking all day. And this is about 1 p.m. and the game isn't until 8 p.m. that night. So Bradders and his dad come around to my dad's. We have a few drinks. Then we take the walk down to Wembley Stadium.
These fucking beers, you know?
When they knocked it down, everyone was saying, oh, what a great shame, keep the arches, this, that, and the other. And I was sort of in agreement with them, but when you see that, you've got to admit it's fantastic. That's the new arches? Yeah.
Never mind the Archers, how about the Gordons? Both gin-based drinks.
So we're going to go down to this chaos now. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the chaos that is Wembley.
The excitement is building and building and building. I have to say, compared to the semi-final, which was a real jovial tournament festival feeling, Wembley was just carnage. It was just absolute mayhem. It was chaos. You could tell that everyone's been getting pissed up for hours on end. So yeah, we kind of got down there. In fact, in parts, it felt more like a demonstration than a game of football.
More chaotic, for sure. I mean, I was staying in central London the night before, and just getting the train out to Wembley, you know, it was a party scene from 8 o'clock in the morning, you know.
Stick your face and trading up your arms. You can stick your face and trading. Stick your face and trading. Stick your face and trading up your arms.
Yeah, you can always trust the British to have a drink, but you know, walking through Leicester Square at 8 a.m. in the morning on my way to Wembley and seeing guys who are blackout already was not surprising, but you know, it felt good to be home.
You could just tell things were going off. And even at this point, we didn't really quite know how bad some of the fan behaviour had been. We even got to our gate and they weren't letting anyone in. It was all sort of kicking off. We even saw some people trying to break in through the gates. Even once we finally did get let into the stadium, we saw people trying to break in.
There was actually, yeah. So you know, not great side of the England fans here. Some people, you know, were pushing their way into the stadium just next to us. Someone ripped a disabled door open and disabled entry door open and forced their way in. So there's definitely a bit more trouble on the at the final than there was at the semi. And
yeah, it was carnage. But I think once we kind of got in, sort of composed ourselves, got the beers in, had a few sherbets, and then yeah, about time to sort of find our seats. Walking into what we knew was going to be a major final. Yeah, it was great. And even that song that Bono and The Edge put together for the tournament, basically U2, basically the two main ones of U2 did with that like Dutch DJ. Kind of came back and I realised how much of a banger that song is. Really was a soundtrack to that great summer. But yeah, got in and it was time for kickoff. Any memories from the actual game itself?
Yeah, I remember that, you know, the fact that we couldn't be picky with tickets meant that we were sat in the Italian end, which was fine. Friendly fans, you know, it was better when we were winning.
It was actually quite a good laugh, actually, I have to say, being in with all the Italian fans. Made some good friends. Well, my dad made some good friends. He's a bit of an Italian at heart, I think. But as for the match itself, again, quite blurry. I remember England were pretty dominant in the first half. Obviously, we scored Luke Shaw with that fucking goal, which just felt like in the first minute. And then I think England sort of sat back for the second half. Italy came back. And then I remember just a very cagey extra time. And then, of course, penalties. Oh God, man, yeah, the walk out of Wembley was awful.
Sometimes you have to capture the sad times. You know, it's not all sunshine and rain.
Very somber walk home. That, you know, it was only about a 10-minute walk from Phil's house down to Wembley, but the mood going down and the mood going back were polar opposites.
You know, it was close to coming home. It was close to coming home. You know, something about football is, especially as an England fan, and more especially as a West Ham fan, this is how the entry of success. This is how life works. Let's not lose our dads. You know, dads. Yeah. Where are they? Oh, they're gone.
There they are. I see. Oh, there they are. There they are.
Look at these two old boys over here. They've had the time of their lives, haven't they? Time of their lives.
Absolutely miserable. I think I just sort of purposely lost everyone and thought I was just going to walk back home on my own. I couldn't really take it. It was yeah, like I said, it was miserable. It started to rain. Could just see the police helicopters swirling. I remember like looking back and just seeing the Wembley Arch lit up in the Italy colours. And actually, I remember walking back and just bumping into random strangers and sort of commiserating about the night's events. Probably also commiserating about how much we'd all spent on tickets to be there when England won their first trophy since '66.
I don't know if I can hack it. That was fucking horrible, wasn't it? You spent 10 grand? What, just you?
Me and my mate, yeah, 5 grand each. Shocking, isn't it? That is what it is.
We were there, man.
Yeah, exactly.
We were still, in 20 years, they'll still talk about this night.
Yeah, no, what's one of my kids? I've got 4 kids at home, so I can tell them that I was here at least, huh?
Yeah.
You have a good one, buddy.
You too, mate.
Yeah, but of course it wasn't meant to be. And like I said earlier, great nights always end in a kebab house, but unforgettable nights should end with a debrief, preferably in the kitchen with a bottle of whiskey.
He's got no sense of.
You know, when you're playing a game, if you're playing a game, you're going to take a penalty. You don't want 2 people to come on and go, yeah, penalty experts.
No sense of decor. Hot one. These things happen. You know, you will find us again in Qatar.
This is only part 2.
What, about 18 months?
This is Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Or Return of the Jedi in Qatar.
Sadly,
desert country.
Sadly, we are 0 for 2 in major tournaments. So, what can you do? You have to take these on the chin. Take these on the chin. Lie to your wife about how much they cost, and move on with your life. and continue to lie about how much football tickets cost.
Went back to the Oliver's house. I was staying at Shea Oliver for the night. Phil was kind enough to put me up. You know, we went back. We had a debrief. Rob's brother Joe was also at the match. So, you know, where we had champagne before the game, it was whiskey straight afterwards. Definite debrief on who we would have chosen in all of our infinite footballing wisdom to take the penalties. Of course, a heated debate by 3 scholared football professionals.
He's making garlic bread. Garlic. That's how that's what that fucking desperate to do no garlic bread. We're finding desperate avenues for fucking solace, aren't we?
Cold pedigree.
We have a good time, don't we?
We do.
Pedigree beer.
Alright.
Signing off.
It's not. I'm not the bloke who normally says turn the camera off, but doing that content.
Joe, we'll either see you. I think we'll probably see you in West Ham away.
Woke up the next day, and I just remember it being a beautiful, hot summer's morning. Kind of a silver lining to the trip, I guess. But of course, the flags have to come down. You've got to clear up the house.
Shape, which I think gave us a little bit more control. But
How you feeling, brothers, after
the morning after?
Any technical change,
Been better.
you have strengths, and then there were weaknesses to any system. They went with a full start.
So then I had a cunning plan to bring Rashford on to take penalties. And the other geezer.
I was flying the next day, so you know it would have been a fairy tale to win the final there and then get back to my long-suffering wife. But there was no chance I was extending the trip for a third time.
Go to Greg's for one final sausage roll, and then then pack my bags and head to Heathrow and back to the US.
Any things you would have done differently in this trip?
No, do it all over again, and I will do it all over again. Qatar's next. Here we come.
Third time lucky. Hope you're all going to be there. Look forward to doing it myself. And thanks for watching. Much appreciated. I hope this was somewhat entertaining. It was certainly a laugh doing it and making it. Anyways, cheers, thanks. Like and subscribe and all that sort of stuff. Done. Cut. Fuck me, I made you sit through 42 minutes of that shit.